Ready or not, here I come!
This is perfect. He'll never find me. Gotcha! Oh, Lily! 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 I'm gonna go call somebody for help. Oh.
Charlie Stewart was brought in this morning at 9:36 with his friend, who has passed away. Charlie, age 11, presents a slight case of cataracts. He complains of blurry vision and suffers from what appears to be chemical burns on his face. We have not been able to inspect the rest of his body as his shirt seems to be frozen to his body, and we do not want to cause additional harm. He is, however, stable, and although he expressed some pain in breathing at first, that has passed. We gave him 0.03 milligrams of morphine to relieve the pain of the burns, and now he is resting.
Okay, good. And incident 2, could you tell me what will cause all of this?
What could it be? Wait, what about anhydrous ammonia? Its two defining properties would explain all of the symptoms. It's anhydrous, which means it contains no water, which also means it has a huge affinity for water. So if he inhaled it, it would suck all the moisture out of the moist areas of his body, including his eyes and his lungs, which would explain the cataracts and the pain he has when he breathes. And its caustic nature would explain the chemical burns on his face, as when it comes in contact with tissue, it would erode whatever it was touching. This makes absolute sense.
By taking into consideration all of the symptoms, it could be an inhalation of anhydrous ammonia. And in fact, this diagnosis would correspond to the symptoms that caused the death of his friend that he was brought in with, whose lungs were paralyzed.
Excellent diagnosis, but before we do any further treatment, we must contact the investigation squad, since anhydrous ammonia is a very dangerous gas and must be reported.
We investigated the crime scene, a shed in the middle of the field. Turned out to be a meth lab. Ideal location for one because of its proximity to a large supply of anhydrous ammonia, a key component of meth that is also legally used in agriculture. So the question becomes, who is the owner of the meth lab? Let's go investigate. Go ahead, check him out. Let me know what you find.
Saliva on the evidence is perfect biological tissue from which to obtain a genetic fingerprint. This is an automatic DNA extractor, which will produce a high-purity DNA fraction. Then, a restriction enzyme is added to the DNA. This moves along the strands and cuts the strand at sites called restriction sites. These sites are located throughout the chromosome, except in sections made of the core sequence. This is the sequence that will distinguish one individual from another. At the end of this first step, we have many pieces of that core sequence. Then, the mixture of DNA fragments is placed on an agarose gel, and a small voltage is applied to the gel. This causes the fragments to move through the gel at a rate proportional to their size. This gel, however, is difficult to handle, so the DNA band pattern is transferred to a nylon membrane using a technique called southern blotting. Once the DNA bands are stuck onto the membrane, a radioactive DNA probe is added, which will bind only to the core sequence. Excess DNA probe is washed off. The radioactive DNA probe bound to the DNA pattern on the membrane can then be shown on an X-ray film. This is the genetic fingerprint.
We've come to some conclusive results with the DNA testing. It's actually matched with one Stephen Pike, who we've already got databased because he's been in trouble with the law before. He's had a few encounters already. We've got him.